Friendo, Steve here.
And Larson.
And welcome back to Going In Raw, the only pro wrestling podcast you need to be listening to. On today's episode, talking about AEW's Dynamite from last night and the latest in the ongoing debacle, the mess, the drama, that is, go touch some grass gate. That's right, CM Punk and his bestie Ace Steel in their plight to return to AEW, the trials and tribulations therein.
Like you say, huh?
the crusade, if you will. I mean, this is basically a religious, it's on par. This is, look, is it the second coming or isn't it?
Touche.
So we've got all that stuff on today's show. Of course, last night, we posted a video after Dynamite over at Friendo Club Wrestling where we talk about the CM Punk stuff. But given that there's probably plenty of people in the audio realm and maybe a lot of people here even on the YouTube and the Twitch who might not have caught that, catch the people up on what we're talking about today.
All right. There's a lot to get through here, so we'll try our best to move quickly. Yes, for those who didn't watch our video for Friendo Club Wrestling last night, here's kind of the broad view of what was going on up until today. Apparently, Punk was slated to be a huge part of yesterday's announcement of AEW Collision at the Warner's upfronts, but apart from his name being included, only accessible through a link, which led to a press release, which was pretty quickly removed his name. There was no mention of him during the upfronts, during any of the promotion for AEW Collision. In fact, comicbook.com reached out to Warner Brothers Discovery for comment about Phil's inclusion, then subsequent removal from the press release. Warner Brothers Discovery responded, quote, CM Punk is not affiliated with TNT's AEW Collision. Then PW Insider broke the news that the latest beef, apparently, between Punk and AEW might have something to do with Ace Steel coming back to the company, reporting, quote, the story making the way around AEW backstage today at Dynamite is that a decision was made that Steel would not be working backstage at the actual Collision tapings. As you might imagine, that left Punk and AEW on opposite sides of discussion, which in turn led to Punk being removed from all promotional material released for the AEW Collision series today. Fightful Select added that, quote, it was extended to Punk that Steel would have the ability to be with the company and work directly with Punk. However, it was made clear that Ace Steel would not be able to be at AEW television. We haven't learned specifically how Punk reacted to this, aside from him not being in agreement with it. So that brings us to today, or last night, I should say. When Dave Meltzer, Brian Alvarez had the recent edition of Wrestling Observer Radio, where Dave went in pretty significant detail. I know because I listened to it all and transcribed it here.
These transcripts come to you from Larson.
Steve, please.
Yeah, absolutely. So Dave said this. There's a lot going on. This is the basic gist of it. Punk was supposed to be announced at the show. That was the big announcement at the upfronts. The star of the show. He was in the graphic. He was in the lead in the press release. And then yesterday, WBD, Warner Bros. Discovery, was told to remove CM Punk from everything. And they removed him from almost everything. They forgot one link, and the link was to the story basically saying Collision starts, and the first name mentioned was going to be the star of the show, CM Punk. So they forgot to eliminate his name in the link. So a few people in the media saw that, and oh my God. There had been people told yesterday to scrub him from the thing. There was all kinds of speculation on what does this mean? Why did they pull him at the last minute? There was a situation that happened. I would say that the Mike Johnson story in PW Insider is pretty close. I mean, I really can't say more because the reality is that Tony's never going to talk about anything. Mike Johnson's thing was that there was a disagreement over Ace Steel, and that has probably something to do with it. Punk basically demanded Ace Steel back, and the gist was that, and again, I've been told certain things about Ace Steel and many different contradictory things, and I don't want to say anything that's wrong about it, but I have been told that it is not true, and I've been told that it's absolutely true. But in the end, the story was that Punk wanted Ace Steel around and Tony didn't want Ace Steel. And this is one of the stories that I heard during the last week or so regarding this, was that he may be hired. He might have already been hired. Again, people denied that to me as well. Of course, nobody knew except Tony and one or two people in Ace and Punk about this. It's not like any of the other people knew anything about it. I got it from certain people that I know that are on a certain side that never talks to me except they do.
Wonder who he's referring to there.
You can put two and two together.
Yes.
Anyway, the basic gist of it was that Tony didn't want Ace at the buildings. Punk thought and Ace thought that he was going to be at every Collision show with Punk, and he was told no, he can work here supposedly, but whatever it was, he was not going to be at the buildings, and that was the blow up. There were people who thought that this was the ultimate blow up, and Punk screwed Tony on Tony's big announcement and Tony's big day to Warner Brothers Discovery and all that. From the WBD side, there's nobody from the AEW side who's talked about this at all, nor confirmed any of this. From the WBD side, they have said that their belief is that there will be an attempt to work it out, and they're hopeful that they work it out. It's not a dead deal, but this is the situation. Meltzer continues. I don't know what they do. The United Center's booked. That's the city. But if there's no Punk, do you go to a different arena? Do you go to the United Center with no Punk? Because if you go to the United Center, everyone's going to assume, whether they announce it or not, that he's going to be there, and they're going to be really upset when he's not. And they don't, and they don't want to say he's not because they don't want to mention his name if he's not there. So it's a question of Tony's in a rough position. Tony's in a really tough position, and Punk has a lot of leverage here for the obvious reasons, and how it's going to turn out, we'll find out. None of this surprises people. This has been the gist of it for a long, long time, and it'll continue to be like this.
Let's pause for a second before we go on to Nick Hausman's latest report, House of Wrestling, because it paints a different picture. One not as dire, or Nick Hausman's report not as dire or as tension filled as seemingly what I guess Mike Johnson's report kind of played it down the middle. They said they're on opposite sides of the situation, which doesn't necessarily say this is a contentious issue. It just says there's a disagreement. Meltzer's approach here seems to infer things could be fairly contentious using terms like blow up, ultimate blow up.
Yeah. Given what you heard, because I didn't listen to it, I just read transcripts. Yeah. Did Meltzer insinuate that there were other things that just haven't been reported on?
I think the idea of none of this surprises people. This has been the gist of it for a long time. It will continue to be like this. I think the insinuation there is that this has been an ongoing thing.
I thought there was a quote that said something like there were other things. Oh,
the clip they had on Wrestling Observer's website. A video clip. He didn't mention that. In that
maybe it was elsewhere in the thing. Yeah, okay.
Maybe it's not to say that he did say that elsewhere. So let's talk about the House of Wrestling story from Nick Hausman, because they have more on Ace Steel reporting. Quote: Ace Steel was rehired by AEW several months ago, but has not been actively working in the backstage area. Steel was terminated by the company shortly after the locker room altercation following AEW All Out, but was rehired shortly after. Upon Steele's rehiring, he was told he'd be working with Tony Khan on creative in some capacity, but his presence backstage would upset some of the talent. So for that reason, Steele has been working remotely for the company for the past few months. There was an understanding in place that once AEW Collision debuted, Steele would return to the road for AEW working as an agent on that brand. However, on Tuesday, a decision was made not to bring Steele back to the road with the promotion, and Punk learned of it shortly after. Following that, there was some miscommunication between lawyers, and subsequently, Punk was pulled from the Collision announcement.
So this is a much different point of view. Seemingly it's very much friendly to the CM Punk side of things. If the idea is, hey, you hired my friend months ago and the understanding was in place that he would be on the road there backstage with the show. And then isn't this also, and then this is also the one that says like the last word of it is,
that said, Punk is still with AEW, and it sounds like he is motivated and wants to help the company's growth however he can. Punk's relationship with Tony Khan also appears to be on sound footing with no issues between the two men and communication remaining open.
Okay, slow that down. So this is the last part of that piece. That said, Punk is still with AEW, and it sounds like he is motivated and wanting to help the company's growth however he can. Look, I'm an outsider, I'm a fan. That sounds like a fill in the blank. Here, Punk, write what you want. It does. It does. Punk's relationship with Tony Khan also appears to be on sound footing with no issues between the two men and communication remaining open. That sounds like a press release from CM Punk. It sounds like public relations from CM Punk. And this is where you get into many people are talking to the dirt sheets. Nobody's talking to us. Many people are talking to the wrestling journalists. We're not that. To get their sides out there. But that last little blurb sounds like a public relations statement from CM Punk. I'm sorry, but it does. It does.
Yeah. Again, it's different reports painting a different picture based on the perspective of whoever's giving the information.
And in this case, it's CM Punk giving come on. It just seems so obvious. And I'm not like saying this is something that's true. From my perspective, my read on this is like, come on. This
it feels like it very well could be from CM Punk's perspective or someone close to him. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I don't know if after what happened yesterday, after Wrestling Missouri Radio, if some effort at damage control was underway to kind of backtrack a little bit on heightening the tensions. But at the same time, it's like the last bit here from what I have quoted from the House of Wrestling story about when Punk learned that Steele wasn't going to be on the road. Following that, there was some miscommunication between lawyers.
Yeah.
It seems like, this isn't going the way I thought. Get lawyers involved immediately,
Yeah.
So, that seems at least mildly contentious, if that's the case.
Yeah, if lawyers are brought in, absolutely. There's still always been the weird thing about like Punk and the Elite are not allowed legally to contact each other to apologize or whatever, which is strange. But yeah, a lot of this is just, it's as John Lawson Jr. here in YouTube chat just said, this whole thing has gotten utterly ridiculous. It is. It's bizarre, but it is. It's also fascinating to see Tony Khan play the game, so to speak. Like get his way through. They had to pull Punk's. It's not like Punk got what he wanted. He wanted it, and Tony Khan said no, and to the degree that this huge announcement, we're pulling your face, likeness, and name from it all. So I don't know what this means. When Meltzer referenced the United Center has been booked, not to say they can't book another venue, which it seems like it's an option on the table because in the announcement last night of Collision, Tony Khan outlined these are the cities we're going to be live. There's going to be special tapings
for those cities,
and venues that they're going to be at. The first one, Collision, supposed to be in Chicago because it's Punk. Date to be announced next week.
Yep. So let's ask ourselves the question, Steve. If none of this can be resolved, at least in the short term, if Collision is launched on June 17th without CM Punk, if there are issues, if those issues are not resolved in time, in about a month, what does Collision look like? I think Meltzer's analysis of it's a show essentially booked around CM Punk's star power to get viewers. Not to say that there's some of the talent announced on that show, fantastic. Samoa Joe, Powerhouse Hobbs, Miro, Andrade, huge fans of them all.
Yeah,
Punk was supposed to be the cornerstone of that show.
Yeah.
And without Punk there, especially if they even entertain the idea of having the debut episode in Chicago, Collision's going to air on Saturday evening in prime time. It's not the weekday in prime time is what you really want. Saturday night's not a good time for programming. Most people are at the bar.
Yeah.
At the club or in line for the club. Having a late dinner.
Karaoke.
Socializing.
Karaoke.
Touching grass, if you will.
Touching grass, ideally.
Yes. So, if Collision launches with no CM Punk, and it seems crystal clear there's not going to be CM Punk, what does that mean for the immediate future of AEW Collision?
So here's what I've been thinking about this, man. And here's what you got to plan to move on without him. And I came up with this idea, and I don't know if it would work, But what is the show that everybody is comparing Collision to visually, aesthetically, whatever?
Nitro.
Correct. How did Nitro get its major success?
First episode at the mall.
Well, yeah. So maybe you do the first episode of Collision at Mall of America.
Pasta Mania commercial right in the middle of the show.
Well, that's also definitely a possibility. I'm not sure how many wrestling restaurant integrations there are these days, but no, what I was thinking of, Lex Luger, Hulk Hogan, Randy Savage, they took a bunch of names that made their name in WWF and they brought them over to WCW and they gave them new life based off of partial nostalgia. It hadn't been that long since they were big names, and that's what they ran with. Now, what has AEW been accused of doing? Running big with former WWE names. So you take the same philosophy. You take the Blackpool Combat Club. Now that Punk's not on Collision, you bring those guys. Those three names right there alone. Mox, not Yuta. Mox, Danielson, Claudio, former WWE guys. Jericho Appreciation Society. You bring them to Collision. And you sort of look, those are good names. Those are really good names. You put them on Collision, and that's sort of your former WWE. They already got Andrade and Samoa Joe there. Your former WWE guy show,
and
right? Miro, great example. So you put those guys on Collision, and Dynamite remains the sort of PWG New Japan, indie darling show that, with Orange Cassidy on there, does pretty well just with those guys. MJF is on both shows because he got the big, 2024 bidding war. Well, he's so special. He gets to be on both shows because I think he's been proven to be a draw. He's a compelling character. He's your champion. So that's your brand split right there. Look, regardless of it's now or a year from now, you got to plan to move on without Punk because how much longer can he last? I mean, I just don't see it with him. He's 44 years old. He's not getting any younger because sadly time doesn't work that way. And, he busted his foot diving into the crowd. He busted his triceps doing a suicide dive. I don't think the guy's going to change his wrestling style. And he ain't getting no younger. And I don't know what he can give you anymore. Can he give you 6 months? Can he give you a year? I really find it difficult to believe he can give you 3 sustained years. So if the idea is he's going to be our star for the first 6 months or the first year to get it off the ground, I get that. But you're going to have to plan for a time post-Punk anyways. I say that you make Collision the true successor to Nitro. You get the former WWE guys there, and Dynamite is what you built AEW on in the first place, which is all those great indie names and New Japan names and PWG names.
I'd actually suggest this getting rid of the concept of the brand split entirely.
Sure.
If there's wrestlers who have enjoyed the schedule they've been working, working Wednesdays or working, one day a week, whatever the case may be, you could try your best to schedule the shows so few talents, at least few of your marquee talents, are on both shows, if that's an issue. And if there's issue with people getting along backstage, well, you could still arrange the roster without necessarily doing a hard brand split. So, one party is on one show predominantly while the other's on the other show predominantly. And that way you don't have to worry about one show lacking star power at the expense of, or having star power at the expense of the other. As we saw last night, people were super into this elite Blackpool Combat Club angle.
Oh, it's great. I can't wait to talk about it because it's really good. Yeah.
It's been really good. And if the idea that you're having a brand split to satisfy people who don't get along, well, if one of the individuals that doesn't get along with the elite's not going to be around, why don't you put the elite on occasion on Collision? There's no reason not to.
Well,
if they're going to bring eyeballs to that show.
There's also a matter of, and I'm sure this would have existed anyways. However, I do think that if all parties in AEW are interested in building AEW, and there isn't this one element that seems to be a divisive personality, if there's not there, because we haven't heard anybody, okay, Sammy Guevara and Andrade, right? Who cares?
Yeah.
But beyond that, in terms of the big names, Jericho and Mox have always worked great together. Yeah. Jericho and Kenny and Mox seem to love each other. Yeah. There seems to be, Cole likes everybody. Yeah. There seems to be, without Punk, not a lot of people who don't get along.
Yeah.
And if if you did separate the brands, let's just go back to my scenario really quick.
Sure.
There could be that like healthy competition between the two brands to just try to one up each other, even if you split the creative teams like WWE did back in the day. There could be that sort of healthy competition where they are actively, in a positive way, trying to one up each other week to week, which could be a lot of fun. But also, to your point, I don't think it's a bad one. Tony Khan he's got that big ass crinkly piece of paper where he's scheduling up. You can stagger the talents across both brands to maximize the idea of everybody gets to be featured, and you get the biggest names on both shows in a staggered way that actually does take advantage of your roster. And I feel like if anybody could pull that, could pull that off, it might be Tony Khan, who, seems to like to book week to week. He's got a whiteboard or whatever. Maybe that kind of thing could work with the big analytics guy. But in any event, dude, I think the bottom line is you have the talent there. It's one guy. And I understand he's a draw, and to many people, he's a compelling character, but you have to plan for a day where he's not there. And that day is either now or it's 6 months to a year from now, because he ain't getting any younger.
Yeah. Yep. That's true. That is true. I had another point, but then I forgot what it was, so I guess we can move on.
All right. I thought Dynamite last night had two bits to it that were absolutely phenomenal. One was Jericho and Roderick Strong, and how they lured him out. The whole bit, like in the stairwell where they're on the ledge.
Wow,
oh,
I know.
Man, that was cool. I really loved that. I thought that was really great. And then of course the Hangman and Kenny giving him the broom. And them going down there and taking out the Blackpool Combat Club.
Not just going down, Paige leading the way.
He
was the one leading the charge to the ring.
Yeah, and you get the familiar sight of Kenny and the Bucks on one side, Hangman coming in and walking and joining them, and him taking charge with the mic. We are the elite.
Yep.
Anarchy in the arena. I got goosebumps. I thought it was great. He had the golden eye patch looking like Solid Snake. Man, I thought it was awesome stuff.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. When they had Jay White and Ricky Starks announced as the main event, and then that match ended 10 minutes before the show. I'm like, what the heck's the main event? Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, Don Callis still has to have his promo bit, so someone's coming back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
was it gonna be Hangman, which made a lot of sense? Was it gonna be Kota Ibushi, which would have made sense too? Mm-hmm. It was Hangman, and they made us think Kenny wasn't going to be there. That little bit with the Young Bucks earlier in the show where they're asked how he's doing, and they said, hey, he's pretty banged up. Before they continue their thought, they get attacked by Blackpool Combat Club. Well, based on that attack, you don't think Young Bucks could potentially make it out either.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And so not only does Kenny come to the stage, so does the Young Bucks, and then you're like, okay, it's 3 against 4. And commentary lays the numbers out clearly. Mm-hmm. And then cue Hangman's theme.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Massive pop. He looks awesome with the eye patch. Mm-hmm. And the moment when Kenny hands him that broom.
Oh, man.
As you said, goosebumps.
Right.
Goosebumps.
Yeah. Yeah.
Goosebumps. It was we've been critical of AEW storytelling over the last year or so because it has been that great in a lot of instances. And kind of the common denominator in during that phase is that the elite as a whole wasn't there for a lot of that time. True. Kenny was hurt. They were Kenny and the Young Bucks were suspended for a couple months. Hangman was hurt for a stretch. And to see them all back and telling a really good story with the Blackpool Combat Club reminds you that when the elite are all together on that show, good stuff can happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You take any party out of the elite, and I don't know. It doesn't resonate the same way. Yeah. And I don't know if it's because the 4 of them, which I would imagine are really involved in their creative and really involved in the stories they want to tell, and therefore have a lot of input. But just the stuff with them just resonates, I feel like, so much more than a lot of the other stuff on the show. Not to say there's not other good stuff, but just the detail to the story they're telling, the depth, the characters, the relationships between them all.
I really wish that the amount of energy and attention to detail that you see in those segments, the amount of energy and attention to detail, I'm sorry. I know, man. I know what people say about Jericho. I mentioned it earlier. every time he's in a segment, I think it's really good. I think that the guy, since 1997, when I first started watching wrestling, and I saw this guy and he busted out, whatever the 1004 holds or whatever. It's like, man, this guy's sort of ahead of his time, and he's sort of proven that, like he's so clever with everything he does. If they would bring that kind of energy and enthusiasm, if that somehow was able to translate to the rest of the show, it'd be phenomenal every week. It'd be really good every week. You know,
really would. I know.
And I understand that might not be entirely possible. I understand that they have, different cooks in the kitchen. And there is like sort of the freedom of the wrestlers to sort of come up with their stuff. And maybe, I don't know. I don't know what the process is like, but whatever needs to be done to give that level of attention to detail to the rest of the card really should happen, because it is really good stuff.
It is really good stuff. We also kind of mentioned this briefly when we were talking about the CM Punk stuff, that Tony Khan also unveiled the first, what is it, probably 8 weeks of Collision shows?
Yeah, it was about 8 weeks.
6, 8, 10, whatever it is.
I think it was like 8. I think you're right.
Yeah, predominantly in Canada.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
They're doing a stretch through Canada to coincide with the Owen Hart Cup through the summer.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think the last episode they had announced was going to be in New Jersey. And of course, the first one was announced June 17th, just no venue, no city. So we'll see next week. He said next week that location will be announced. So they're giving it a week maybe for the CM Punk thing to be worked out. And if they announce Chicago next week, then you got to think, all right, seems pretty solid that Punk's going to be there.
Yeah.
If they book it for another venue, it doesn't eliminate the idea that Punk will be there, but it definitely lessens the odds.
Yeah. And also of note, I want to say like 2 or 3 of the episodes look like they were going to be taped. They're on Thursdays.
Yeah.
But the rest of them
were Saturdays.
I think it was probably 8. Yeah, Saturdays. So they were going to be live. Let me take a look, see if it pulls up quickly on Twitter here.
I think the one in Hamilton, Ontario is taped, because there's Dynamite from there on the Wednesday prior, then the next day, Thursday, they're taping Collision. And I think there was one more that was a Thursday.
And if that's, I'll be honest. Oh, here it is. If that is so there were 6. Okay, it was 6. And out of the 6, 1 was a taping.
Is that the Hamilton, Ontario one?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay.
Everything else is Saturday, which would be live. If that's the ratio, that's a pretty good ratio.
What's the date on the taped one?
The taped one is Thursday, June 23rd.
All right.
29th. Thursday, June 29th.
Okay. Just curious, just because I was that seems kind of late for NBA playoffs to still be going.
It does. Yeah, they're done by they start on June 1st.
Oh, the finals? Okay.
The finals, I'm almost positive I saw a thing.
It'll be done by the middle of the month then,
Yeah.
I'm trying to think then hockey playoffs I think should be done by then too, but I could be wrong about that. So I
think those wrap around the same time as the finals.
So. What's going to preempt the Saturday? Because too early for the Major League Baseball All-Star game, and that's
would there be a different reason
Tuesday
for that?
I don't know.
Like a UFC pay-per-view or some big other event that would be going down on a Saturday.
Yeah, I don't know.
But I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
Don't know.
So, in any event.
Oh, let's talk about this. There's 2 other matches announced for Double or Nothing during the show. We're going to get an international title battle royal. Orange Cassidy's like, hey, if you want to fight me, just fight me. And apparently,
the blackjack.
20 people knocked on Tony Khan's door, so we get a 21-person battle royal where Orange Cassidy has to defend his title. So that's either a way for him to lose without getting pinned, or to really hammer home like the final story beat that he is willing to take on all comers, but at what cost?
Ballsy for a guy to just step up and say, I'm going to defend this in a battle royal.
Yeah.
Because
odds are definitely not in your favor.
Yeah, no, they're no. I think it's probably going to be the opener. It's going to be the way he's going to win it. He needs, honestly, at this point, I've actually really enjoyed his title run but it doesn't feel like the most significant simply because like he hasn't been in like a real meaty feud on a regular basis. It's usually one-offs. And I think he needs that. They need to do that after the Battle Royal, and they get to put him in a good feud. He had I enjoyed his Jericho feud back in the day. There's been a couple of them that have been really good, and it's not like I don't like the one-off matches because, as we've said before, Orange Cassidy has a way of freshening up his gimmick in every single match he does, and I really enjoy it. But yeah, at a certain point, it would be fun to see like a Miro win that title, or somebody else who could, or Malachi, get him in a real feud where he loses the title. He doesn't need a title. He really doesn't. I understand the idea of putting it on him, but yeah, I think that title needs to go away. And I feel like he needs to get like beat for it, right? Or like, how would you have him lose the title?
Yeah, I would think this would be kind of like his final stand as champion. He's taken on all comers, and then only at the end of this battle royal where he thinks he's vanquished every opponent that stepped up to him. Someone like Malachi makes an appearance and hits him with a black mass. It's like, no, now you have to get through me. Now that you're completely worn out.
Yeah.
You've exhausted yourself.
Yeah.
Defending this title, and now you're getting to the final boss. Something like that could be interesting.
Yeah, for sure.
Another match announced. Jamie Hayter didn't appear last night due to injury, so Tony Storm just said, challenging you to a women's title match at Double or Nothing.
A fiery promo from Tony Storm, too.
Tony Storm apparently won 4 matches in 5 days. That's what
really?
they said.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. That's cool. Well, are they including like the house show thing?
Maybe.
Okay. Yeah, that's going to be a good match. I don't know. Like, I'm assuming they're thinking Hayter's going to be available for Double or Nothing.
You would think so, yeah.
Yeah, that's going to be a good match. So that's cool. Wardlow versus Christian in a ladder match.
Yeah.
For the TNT title. I really want. I know the TNT title, it kind of means a whole lot of nothing, but I really want Christian to win that. He looked cool with that TNT title, man.
Yeah, cool with that turtleneck on. Heck yeah.
Yeah, man.
It was interesting how, because they opened up the show with a segment that seemed like it should be at 5:45.
Yeah.
It's not very often that AEW opens the show with a promo, much less a promo that's interrupted or have a call out.
Yeah.
I guess they wanted the image of Wardlow going onto that ladder to set up the ladder match to be impactful, but maybe it's just I'm so used to AEW starting with a match. And it seemed like, let's take a 5-minute detour before we get to the match that we normally open the show with.
Yeah, it was kind of a limp segment too. It was kind of awkward, but it got the point across. And a ladder match is going to be a lot of fun. So I'm down for that. But yeah, I'm gonna be rooting for Christian on that one.
How many confidence points will you have on Christian?
No, not a lot at all, and I probably won't have any. Probably none. I'll probably have Wardlow win that. I don't think he's going to, but it's also the TNT title. So whichever way I go, it's going to be really low confidence points. I'm not going to have a lot on Wardlow because this title changes hands a lot. Luchasaurus is there. It could motivate a feud between Luchasaurus and Wardlow. I don't know. Wardlow gets it back the next week, and then Luchasaurus gets it from the next week. That's the story of the TNT title. It just changes hands a lot with zero rhyme or reason.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Let's just jump into it with that Wardlow segment. He comes out to the ring. He calls out Christian. Says, you were talking a bunch of trash last week. Do it in my face. That brings out Christian and Luchasaurus. Christian steps up to Wardlow and tells him, it's my time to... Wardlow, your time as TNT champ is almost over. I'm the next champion. There's nothing you can do about it. And then Christian's about to spit in Wardlow's face. Wardlow grabs him by the throat. Luchasaurus blasts Wardlow, but Wardlow ends up fighting him off. He's about to powerbomb Christian. Luchasaurus breaks that up. Christian hits Wardlow with a low blow. So while Christian's hitting some ground and pound on Wardlow, Luchasaurus gets a ladder from under the ring, brings it in, sets it up in the corner. Luchasaurus chokeslams Wardlow onto it, and then Christian follows with the kill switch onto the ladder, picks up the TNT title, and holds it up.
Yeah, it's a good image there. Before we roll on with the recap here, Christian Lopez here has a super chat. Says, can AEW use a person backstage like Cody or a CM Punk character? Well, look, come on now. Every promotion can use a guy like Cody backstage. So I don't know why there's a heavy sigh here right now. Do you hear that in your earpiece? Where'd that come from? Big MGM. Also a super chat says, unrelated, but the fact that Jamie Hayter is injured and they still refuse to use Jade Cargill in this homegrown versus outcast story is insane. I think, yes, true.
Yeah.
I don't know how, like, in terms of Hayter being injured, I think that's sort of neither here nor there. They should be using Jade regardless, you know?
Yes. Yeah, I know.
I just don't know how long Hayter's supposed to be injured for. If Tony Stormer's calling her out, then clearly they think that she's going to be ready for Double or Nothing.
She'll be fine for Double or Nothing. But yeah, I mean, I thought when they brought Hikaru Shida, and I know you go back to the Dynamite earlier in the year where Saraya picked Tony to be our partner rather than Hikaru Shida. That's kind of the genesis of Shida joining up with the homegrown talents. But I thought when they did that, they're really expanding. Or when they brought Willow and Riho and Sky Blue into it as well briefly. Mm-hmm. It's like, they're starting to expand the scope of the story, and that's good.
Yeah.
But they'll expand it a little bit and then kind of go back to, like, you know, the core participants. You know, if they should have Athena show up and join the Outcast. Well, then have Jade join the homegrown talents and really start to expand the scope of the story.
Some of it feels like a little bit of the wheels are spinning right now on the Outcast stuff. But I sort of expect with all the events coming up that we're going to get some blow-offs coming up, and the first one's probably going to be this Double or Nothing Tony versus Jamie Hayter thing.
Yeah. Also, hey, if you're watching on the YouTube, sorry to interrupt, Steve.
No, please, go ahead.
If you're watching this live, watching this on demand, watching this period, if you're hearing my voice right now, please give this video a like, a thumbs up. We'd greatly appreciate it. We're new to this whole podcasting thing. We've only been doing it for a couple weeks.
Dude, we've hopped into this thing for a couple weeks ago.
We're the deep waters, Steve.
Already, we're in the deep CM Punk waters, man. You know, eventually we'll find our way out of the waters and onto some grass, and we'll just put our hands all over the grass and touch it.
Based on my many years doing risk analysis for the Department of Forestry, if I had to tell Tony Khan anything about the CM Punk situation, is that this is an elevated risk level.
Elevated. Oh, wow.
Yes. Having continued incidents seemingly.
Is there like a color coding on that? Are we in orange, red?
Well, this isn't like a DEF CON thing. No.
Okay.
No, there's not that kind of threat chart, if you will.
Okay.
Or risk chart.
Yeah, because I respond visually.
I understand that, but best I could say is, tread carefully.
Oh, wow.
When you see a pattern like this.
Yeah.
It could be indicative of things to come. So
this is what we have to offer here at Going in Raw, the podcast. Next up in AEW, we had on last night's Dynamite, we had Orange Cassidy and Darby Allin versus the Firm's Lee Moriarty and Big Bill. Of course, Big Bill had to sell offense for dudes that are like half his size.
He does a great job at it, too.
He does a great job at it, though.
That's great.
I think Lee Moriarty ended up taking the pin here.
Yeah.
Orange hit him with Bill gets on. Big Bill was getting on. Darby was looking for a coffin drop. Big Bill gets on the apron. Orange hits him with an orange punch. Darby hits Lee Moriarty with a coffin drop. Follows with a headlock takedown for the win. A lot of fun stuff. Lee Moriarty is so special. Big Bill. We're big fans of Big Bill, and of course Orange Cassidy and Darby Allin. They're great too.
Yeah. Then we're backstage. The Young Bucks are about to be interviewed. They're asked, how's Kenny doing? Matt says Kenny is pretty banged up, and then the Blackpool Combat Club just kind of phases in behind them, like they teleported there.
Yeah.
So then the Young Bucks turn around, throw their luggage at them, and Wheeler eats that pretty hard. So then Claudio picks up Nick, press slams on the hood of a truck. Yuta then takes Matt's arm, which is, I think he's cleared, but he still has the brace on it. Slams it on the hood of the truck as well. And then Mox says, you're never going to win this game. We are the only elite in this business.
Oh, yeah.
Foreshadowing, if you will.
Right, what happens there at the end. After that, we had a Wardlow interview. Arn walks in. He chucks a bag of ice at the wall. And Wardlow says, what you saw is exactly why I asked you to stay back here. And Arn says, that's what Christian's willing to do. What are you willing to do? This is very action movie stuff. What are you willing to do?
It really is.
And Wardlow, he says, he challenges Christian to a ladder match, a Double or Nothing. He says, that's what I'm willing to do.
Yeah, he's like, I'm gonna beat Christian at his own game.
I need your gun and your badge.
And your Waffle House menu.
After that, we had an Orange Cassidy interview. And they're asked, Renee asks him about, all his title defenses. He says, there's a lot of people who want a shot at my international title. If you want a shot at it, go find Tony Khan, let him know. I'll fight them all.
Yeah. This first hour of Dynamite was very frenetic. They jammed a lot in.
Yeah, they were going because they did this Orange Cassidy interview, then they did like a really quick match, a Sammy Guevara There was like, wait, didn't they went back to, they had like 3 more things and they went back to Orange Cassidy. Yeah.
Later on it was the Orange Cassidy thing. So yeah, Sammy Guevara has a match against Exodus Prime. What a great name.
It's the best name in wrestling right now. It's Exodus Prime. And he's got those cool contact lenses.
Yeah.
He's neat.
Sammy wins this match real quickly with a jumping knee. GTH, he grabs the mic. He says, Austin, every time I'm here, I remember the old days. I remember wrestling in the independents up and down Texas. I remember the struggles, the good times, the bad times. But all of that brought me here and made me who I am today. Trust me, I know I'm not perfect. I've made a lot of mistakes. Hell, you guys watched me grow up in front of you firsthand. Sometimes it takes a few wrong turns to get to the right place, and the right place is Las Vegas. When I finally get to shut up all the naysayers, I've heard them all my life, and I've never listened to them. I listen to what's in here.
The lungs.
No, I think it's referring to his heart. I listen to that shit you can't teach. I listen to my heart. Yes. And my heart tells me at Double or Nothing, I'll be the new AEW World Champion. They go from that right into a Four Pillars video package.
Right. But here's the thing. This is great. Big MGM here in YouTube chat says, was it weird to anyone that Sammy all of a sudden is the ultimate good guy? Like he was literally thrashing Jungle Boy and Darby last week. This right here, his actual promo could be referring to the writing on this story. He says, sometimes it takes a few wrong turns to get to the right place. We are completely forgetting, and I know he referenced it in the Darby talk.
He did,
we are completely forgetting that he had a complete and total character change for like 2 weeks when him and MJF were doing that weird hugging stuff. And now we're back to where we would have been had they not gone there in the first place. Completely bizarre. Like a left turn during this feud, but
you know how earlier I was saying how much I really enjoy the stories where the elite are involved. This is kind of the counter to that, in that it's just dramatically, it's a mess.
Bizarrely going off course and then getting back on course.
It's kind of plainly clear that they're overcomplicating the story. And they're relying on these character beats and promos to tell the story when you don't have to do any of that.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Base it on competition.
Yeah.
That's what it should be.
Yeah.
Not who is more resentful of MJF getting to their position, or to his position. Sorry. You have 3 baby faces saying, oh, Max, you took the easy way to get to where you're at to be champion. I don't care. Everybody has a different path.
Yeah.
MJF took a path that was successful for him. I feel bad that Darby Allin had to sleep in his car. That's a bummer. It sucks.
Right. Yeah.
But at the same time, in this world of wrestling that you've built in AEW, like, I care about what happens on the TV screen.
Was MJF supposed to sleep in his car? Like, what do you want me to do? Do you want me to sleep in my car? I don't want to do that. I don't have to do that. You did. I don't like it. You criticizing me for that? Sorry, I grew up rich. What do you want me to do about it? Somebody in our chat the other day said something like, this just sounds like 3 dudes who are bitter that like they had it rough coming up and they're bitter that they didn't make it the same way MJF did. And it's like, you should have done something about that.
Well, but the thing is that they are doing something about it.
Yeah.
They're all four of them are wildly successful in AEW.
Yeah,
all
but not as but they all want to be world champion.
I know,
and they can't be. Yeah.
And they should strive for that. Absolutely.
Right. Yeah. But they shouldn't be bitter over how MJF had it easy.
No, I don't think so either. Use that. That's bulletin board material. If you want to use it as that,
right.
You put on the bulletin board, use that to motivate you.
Yeah.
If that's what you want to do. But to base the entire story around that, I don't know. It doesn't really feel. You could do something weightier, more meaningful than like, hey, I'm upset that you had the easier path here than me. All right. I just don't feel like from a dramatic standpoint, it's that interesting.
Yeah.
They come off as bitter, and as baby faces, I don't want that.
I thought it made for a decent first promo, but then, you got to move on from there. You can't just hammer the same point home over and over again.
Exactly.
I slept in my car.
Exactly.
Well,
I don't want to trivialize anybody's struggles to achieve their dreams because, like Darby talked about living in his car. That genuinely sucks.
Yeah, I would imagine
that genuinely sucks.
Yeah.
But in terms of the story they're telling here, it's just not the most riveting stuff, at least for me personally.
Yeah. No, I agree. After that, we had
this was great.
Jeff Jarrett, Jay Lethal, Sanjay Dutt, and Satnam Singh interview. So they make their way to the ramp, and Lethal starts dropping a promo. Well, FTR, they do like the most cartoonish sneaky walk coming out.
It's almost like Cody's thing at Backlash, huh?
Yeah, right, yeah. And they just shove Satnam Singh off the stage through a bunch of tables.
And, hats off to Satnam Singh because, I think he knew where he's supposed to be, and he might have got out of his periphery they were coming because he did a quick glance to make sure the table is where it's supposed to be before he took his dive off the stage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know. Yeah, he was like, okay, right here, good.
But it was all very subtle. So you're like, if you're paying attention, you notice it. But if you're just wrapped up in the action, well done, Saddam Singh.
I thought it was awesome. Yeah, I thought it was great. So then FTR and Lethal and Jarrett start brawling. For some reason, Dax starts trying to do his best to strip Jay Lethal of his clothes.
That was pretty funny.
Starts like ripping all his clothes off.
He rips his pants off, I know.
Yeah, he rips his pants off and everything. Anyways, Cash is pummeling Jarrett with a chair. Then he gets posted. FTR put Jarrett in the ring. They set up for a shatter machine. They're like waiting because he's like, oh, he's out of it. He's selling and he's about to turn and feed to them. And then meanwhile, Karen Jarrett sneaks into the ring behind FTR, hits Cash in the dick and balls, and then Dax turns around. Jarrett then takes Dax, hits him with the stroke, and then, Saddam Singh not happy about putting through tables.
He rips his blazer. He takes his jacket off and rips it.
Yeah, it was very impressive. He comes to the ring. He hits FTR with a double choke slams, and then Jarrett and Lethal bash FTR with some guitars. They stand tall. There's one more week before Double or Nothing, so FTR should get the better of them. They get the stand tall math. Jarrett and Lethal win the tag titles at Double or Nothing, Larson. Let's do it. Let's do it.
We can hope. Let's manifest it.
Yeah, man.
Let's put it out there and manifest it. Make it happen. Yes.
Yeah, man.
I want to see
the world. Put it in the world.
Yes. Next, we had a Darby Allin interview. He's asked about winning with that headlock takeover and whether that was a message to MJF. And Darby says, absolutely, that was a message. We're only 10 days away from Double or Nothing. It's the biggest match of my career, Jungle Boy's career, even Sammy's career. There's no secret how much this match means to me. So Sammy steps in. Says, look, Darby, I know we have a very unique history, but I do respect you. I know you don't trust me, but you said something a couple weeks ago that really stuck with me. You said, if I'm ever going to be a world champion, I need to stop being a follower. Well, I want you to know that at Double or Nothing, I'm not laying down for Max, and I'm not making it easy for any of you. Whether it's me, you, or Jungle Boy, one of us needs to take the belt off that prick. Mm-hmm. He offers his fist for a fist bump. And Darby said, bumps fist with him and says, let the best man win.
Yeah, let's do it.
I mean, last night was the most clear-cut babyface Sammy Guevara we've seen so far.
Yeah, it was, yeah. Because he's from Tejas. He's from Texas.
He is from Texas. Yeah.
So after that, we had Ruby Soho and Toni Storm versus Hikaru Shida and Britt Baker. Of course, Toni Storm ends up picking up the win for her team here.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Where is the It
was a really fun match too.
Yeah, really this is really good stuff. But there's all sorts of shenanigans here. So Shida hits Ruby with a Falcon Arrow. Ruby kicks out of that. Shida tags in Britt. She hits a butterfly suplex. Shida follows with a top rope Meteora. Toni breaks that pin up. Britt hits Toni and Ruby with a neck breaker / DDT combo. She covers Ruby. Ruby kicks out. Britt looks for a lockjaw. Ruby counters with a roll-up. Gets 2 with that. Ruby hits Britt with a no future. Tags in Toni. She looks for Storm Zero. Britt counters with an air raid crash. Follows with a stomp. Saraya gets on the apron. Then to distract the ref, Ruby hands her a spray paint can. She sprays Britt in the face. And then whoop-ah, Storm Zero to get the win.
Yep. Really fun bout. Really, really fun bout. The crowd was super behind Hikaru Shida.
Good crowd last night.
It was a great crowd last night. So we got our second Orange Cassidy interview, and Renee tells him that 20 people talked to Tony Khan since their previous interview, 20 minutes prior.
Right.
And Orange says, 20, huh? That's a lot. Well, I guess I'll just fight them all. I'll be in it too, so 21. It's in Vegas, right? Mm-hmm. Blackjack is a thing. Mm-hmm. So how about the Blackjack Battle Royal for the international title? And he's about to leave. He goes, oh, Renee, you won in 2? And she's like, no, I'm good.
No, I'm good. So, yeah. Well, that was, then you got to take somebody else out, so it's still 21.
Yeah. Yeah. So you get to 22, you bust.
You bust. You don't want to bust.
No, that means you lose.
Correct. After that, we had Tony Khan's announcement. It's great to be back in Austin. Today's been one of the great days in the AEW. Collision will premiere on June 17th. After that premiere, we'll be going on the road to Canada, followed by a return to the U.S. and New Jersey. We're going to go to Regina. As for the premiere, stay tuned. I'll tell you where that premiere will take place. He sort of morphed into like George's dad now.
Yeah, a little bit. Frank
Costanza now. Yeah. It's great to be back in Austin. We're going to Regina and Hamilton. It's going to be called AEW The Place to Be.
Place to be.
Oh, Lord.
I mean, it feels like right now it's going to be called AEW. I got a lot of problems with you people.
I got a lot of problems with you, AEW. Serenity now, insanity later.
Yeah, that's what I imagine some people in the locker room are thinking. So then we had Roderick Strong versus Chris Jericho. Falls Count Anywhere. Man, this match was tons of fun. I mean,
this was wildly fun.
First 5 minutes of this match were them chopping the hell out of each other.
Yeah, that was great. Yeah.
And there was some heavy chops. Sadly, during this match, commentary announced that Superstar Billy Graham, who I think had been battling some health issues for a while, passed away. Superstar Billy Graham, huge innovator of the world of pro wrestling.
He was like the Alphaville of wrestling. If you ever watch Alphaville, it's like its influence across sci-fi movies over the next like 4 decades can be completely and totally felt. Like you watch that movie and it's like, oh my God, Matrix, Star Wars, to that. Everybody ripped it off. Superstar was that in wrestling. Like if you watch enemies, like, oh my God, like there would be no Hogan. Hogan's even admitted to this. There would be no Hogan. There'd be no Macho Man. Like everything basically from in the 80s wrestling that popularized wrestling came from him.
Yep. Massively influential presence in the world of professional wrestling. So the match goes up into the concourse. I believe Roderick Strong throws some soft serve into Chris Jericho's face. They eventually make their way to a stairwell, and there's a little ledge there next to the stairwell that Roderick Strong dumps Jericho on. They go out there and they brawl on the stairwell for a while.
Yeah, right.
Because like if once they kind of reach the wall opposite of where the stairs start, there's a drop there.
Yeah,
and
heavy
now
drop,
there's a pretty small crevice between the ledge and where the guardrail for the stairs is. So like if you fall, that's gonna suck.
Big time, yeah.
Massively. I mean, like, when they were fighting in the concourse, there was a stanchion involved. Always love AEW.
Love the stanchion.
Using the stanchion for a weapon. Eventually, they make their way outside the arena. And what was the deal with this match? Adam Cole, as well as the Jericho Appreciation Society, barred from the building.
Mm-hmm.
So Roderick Strong staggering away from Chris Jericho, like pleading with him, no more. And they eventually end up near like a large planter. And Adam Cole sneaks up from behind Jericho, pummels him with a bunch of shots, throws him into this large planter, hits him with the boom. Roddy follows with the jumping knee to get the win, pins Jericho on essentially a pile of dirt.
Yeah, it was awesome. They were touching grass. Yeah, it was great.
They were touching grass, yes.
It was fantastic. No, I love this. Something else I want to bring up, our friendos, Organ Grinder and Fudgy, both linked up at the AEW show last night. And if I could bring this up here, Hilton, can you put up the still? During the Wardlow bit, their sign showing respect and appreciation for the Enforcer was seen, and there you could see it clear as day. Enforcer's face right there behind Polo Wardlow. R.I.P. Enforcer forever, my guy. Thanks so much, guys, for bringing that sign.
Thank you so much.
That's really terrific stuff right there.
It is. It really is.
After that, we had Roosh versus Jungle Boy.
Steve,
I'd
like to start a petition.
Yeah, right now.
I would like to start a petition to replace Jungle Boy in the Four Pillars Fatal 4-Way Double or Nothing with Roosh, because Roosh wiped the floor with Jungle Boy for 95% of this match.
I was sitting there watching this, and you texted that to me. I was literally about to tweet the same sentiment, because like Roosh seems so much more legit than Jungle Boy in this match. I'm like, why is Jungle Boy in the main event? He should be like one of the 21 in the Bust Battle Royal. Yeah, no, Roosh was like a real man.
he was literally
no selling him up, man. Yeah,
no selling.
Yeah, he was
Jungle Boy's offense for a stretch.
Yeah,
no selling him.
I know. Like, why do I believe this guy's why it's like, why am I supposed to believe this guy's gonna, be the world champion? Yeah.
Have any sort of chance.
Yeah.
Any sort of chance. So Jungle Boy ends up winning with a roll up with a handful of tights. So maybe at least that plays in the story of what MJF has been telling them. You can't be a good guy to get ahead here. You got to cheat a little bit.
Yeah.
That's what Jungle Boy did to win, because he was getting his ass kicked.
Because otherwise he had no chance, yeah.
No chance. Then afterwards, Roosh and Preston Vance attack him after the bell. Darby runs to the ring to make the save, but Roosh just ends up choking him with a Volt extension cord.
Yeah.
So Sammy's music hits. He nails Roosh with a jumping knee on the ramp, decks Preston Vance, and then Darby hits Jose with a Scorpion Death Drop, and then Darby and Sammy drop kick Vance out of the ring.
Yeah. Dude, push Roosh. Push him. Look at that guy. Oh, my gosh.
Maybe once Collision starts, they'll send LFI over there with Andrade.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Have Andrade and Roosh just go on a run over there on the Collision because they're both great.
They're phenomenal. After that, we had an MJF interview. Renee reminds MJF, he said, this is a fatal four-way. You don't need to be pinned or submitted to lose. How you feeling? And then he violently smacks the mic out of her hand. And I'm like, do you really want to do that with Mox lurking backstage? I'd be careful.
Yeah.
After that, we had a Tony Storm interview. This is like the most fiery I've seen Tony Storm.
Yeah,
like,
it was great. It was great.
Ever. So that's right. 4 wins in 5 days. You know who I don't see setting records like that? Jamie Hayter. If you have any guts, you'll put the women's title on the line and face me at Double or Nothing, brother.
It was great.
Let me tell you something.
It was great.
It
We
was
also
awesome.
had a really good match with the not terribly great finish next. Jay White versus Ricky Starks. I appreciate that AEW doesn't do a whole lot of countouts, DQs type stuff because
Sure.
for the more often than not, you're gonna get clean finishes, maybe overbooked finishes, but clean finishes.
Sure.
To end these matches. And the couple of times there's one time they didn't do it, where MJF lost to Sean Dean.
Mm-hmm.
That was really satisfying. It made a lot of sense. It was when Punk cost MJF that match.
Yeah.
We've seen a DQ when Dustin beat Swerve via DQ.
Mm-hmm.
And then we see it last night where Ricky Starks, and he went to Twitter and explained why he took the chair to Juice and Jay White. Nonetheless, it was a really good bout, and it was really starting to pick up.
Yeah.
And then they just have Juice get in the ring with the chair. Starks gets it from him. Blast Juice with it, and then blast Jay White with it.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not going to give us a good finish to this match. Just do another tag match. I don't know. Just announce this match for Double or Nothing because that's when it's going to happen.
Dude, this was the problem with this feud in the first place. You got a guy who needs big wins now with Ricky Starks. You need another guy who needs big wins now with the debuting Jay White. You don't put them in the ring together. You don't put two guys who are on the ascent and need big wins now. You just don't do it.
Don't do it.
You don't do it.
You don't do it. You don't.
Because you're in a no-win situation. Like, who wins this? Okay, so Jay White got the quote-unquote win here. I'm doing the air quotes thing. Jay White got the win here. Who gets the win at Double or Nothing?
Oh, Jay White still has to get the win. He's the new guy.
Killing Ricky Stark's momentum?
Maybe they think, Jay White will have Juice Robinson helping him win. Maybe LP will show up too. But that only, it doesn't make Jay White look terribly strong if he's two guys to win. And then it just kind of what the hell is Bullet Club Gold anyways?
Yeah, well, yeah, there is
Is
that.
it a credit card with a high APR?
Is it a strip club?
Is
it maybe both?
It could be both.
Yeah.
I need to know what their mission statement is. Why are they just not Bullet Club? I know Jay White got kicked out. I know LP got kicked out.
That's
I don't think
why.
Juice Robinson got kicked out.
Like, if you got kicked out, don't you want to be like, I don't want to be part of Bullet Club anymore. They kicked me out.
I know. Start your own thing. Be new.
Be new.
Start a faction called Switchblade Era. Done.
See?
Done.
We got it.
Done.
SBE.
And you could say Juice, LP, they're my friends from New Japan. We're buddies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Juice.
We're gonna start our own thing here in AEW.
Yeah, he didn't like Dave Finlay. Dave Finlay was always like, "Here, take a shot," and Juice was like, "I don't want to take a shot."
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know, man. I think it's not a terribly great move to do that because, and it's like, look, it's Jay White. Like, he won plenty of matches in New Japan with Bullet Club assistants. Maybe the idea is, hey, yeah, this is going to be Bullet Club shenanigans.
I think if the idea is, Jay White has always won matches with outside interference, I think to a certain degree you're underestimating the fact that it was Gato and what that meant.
Mm-hmm, sure, yeah.
The fact that Gato was Okada's guy until he turned on him to help or started backing Jay White.
Yeah.
Like, there's something more to it than Jay White needs someone to help him win.
Mm-hmm.
And just to think, we'll just have Juice Robinson And no disrespect to Juice. I like how he yelled Ricky at Ricky Starks after the match last night from the ramp. That was funny.
Sweet boy. Yeah, I like Juice now. I liked his pants.
Yeah, he had awesome. They were Volt pants.
They were Volt pants. It had his like face, like in a cartoon way, spray airbrush.
Yeah, he's had great pants for the last few weeks.
Yeah, for sure.
But just because you think, well, we'll have a couple of people have Jay White's back and they'll help him cheat to win. I don't know. It feels cheap as opposed to, I know with Gato it felt cheap, but there was more to it given the history between Gato and Okada and Jay White and Okada. It felt like it had more substance to it.
Yeah, no, I'm with you, man. I'm with you. After that, we had the main event segment. Now, this is great because there's so much going on here. Because it's not like Don Callis turned on Kenny. On Kenny to join the Blackpool Combat Club. No, he's got his own motivation. We don't really know what that is, though. We were about to find out.
He'll probably link up with Ospreay.
Yeah, but I'm saying he hasn't told us what it is yet. And that's like this last segment. It's all sorts of intrigue.
Yeah.
So Don makes his way to the entrance. He's got all sorts of security.
His way to the ring.
Yeah, exactly. He says, everyone wants to hear me talk about what I did to Kenny Omega, but instead I'm going to talk about what Kenny did to me. There's only one victim in this scenario. It's Don Callis. After everything I did for him, IWGP title, Jericho at the Tokyo Dome. Without me, there's no Kenny Omega. Kenny's music hits. He comes to the stage. Security tries to hold him back, and Kenny starts laying them out, but Blackpool Combat Club sprint out. They overwhelm Kenny. Mox hits him with a paradigm shift on the ramp. Blackpool Combat Club get in the ring. Callis is already gone.
Yeah.
Mox says, the war's already over, Kenny. You and your pissant friends can't touch us. They never could. This is your final warning. Stay down. We are the elite. And then the Young Bucks come to the ramp with a trash can full of weapons. And then Hangman's music hits. He comes to the stage wearing a cool gold eye patch. Kenny hands him the symbolic broom. Mm-hmm. And then Paige leads the charge to the ring. Kenny goes running with a trash can lid. He's got it on like Captain America.
Yeah, the shield. And he just lays out Yuta with like a forearm with it.
Yeah, it was like the edge of the trash can hit Yuta.
It was like a Superman punch with a trash can lid. It was something
for sure.
else.
Yeah. So the Bucks hit Yuta with a BTE trigger. Paige follows with a buckshot. Paige grabs the mic. He stands side by side with the elite, says, we're the heart, we're the soul, we're the spirit of this place. We are the elite. Run and hide while you can, because at Double or Nothing, it's Blackpool Combat Club versus the elite. Anarchy in the arena. Fire me, you can't fire me.
Oh, it was great.
Yeah, man, it was cool stuff.
It was great.
It was super cool stuff.
It was. It was really well done. Really well done. Good wrestling storytelling.
Really, really good stuff. Yeah, like it a lot. Anyways, let's go ahead and answer some questions. Of course,
let's do it.
We get our question threads from the YouTube. If you're a YouTube channel member, you can click on join, or on the Patreon at patreon.com/Steve and Larson. Not only do you get access to the question threads, you also get access to our bonus episodes. We'll be dropping an overrun tomorrow live for the patrons and YouTube channel members.
Yes.
And then, of course, you also got access to the big May Predictions Challenge. That's right.
It's coming up.
Who will be the inaugural Big Blue Predictions winner? Of course, the Enforcer is the forever Big Red Predictions winner. Mm-hmm. He won at WrestleMania, and that will remain his title forever and ever and ever. But the Big Blue Predictions winner will be the first Big Blue Predictions champion, and they can win that. Patreon.com/Stephen Larson or clicking join on YouTube at the big Weekend of Champions.
Weekend of Champions. You got it there.
Which is features NXT Battlegrounds, AEW's Double or Nothing live from Las Vegas, and, of course, the McGriddle pay-per-view from Saudi Arabia, night or morning of champions.
Morning of Champions. Yep.
Dabd-E. So anyways, let's go ahead and take a look at some questions here.
Let's do it. Sebastian Garcia asked, would you rather mediate a meeting between CM Punk and the AEW EVPs or between Bret Hart and Bill Goldberg?
Hart and Goldberg.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. They're older. You know, I feel like some of Bret's anti-Goldberg sentiment might be a gag. He was cool with him until Goldberg came back to WWE. They were like taking pictures with each other. He never said a cross word about him until, well, for the longest time anyways, until he went back to WWE. And I feel like we can get to the root of that.
See, I feel like so long as Goldberg isn't actively wrestling, like not an active wrestler, Brett's probably fine with him.
I feel like you can get back.
It's the idea
there.
that Goldberg's in the ring and could potentially hurt people like Goldberg hurt Brett, and I think that's what upsets him.
You could be right. You could absolutely be right there. I couldn't deal with a guy like Punk. I just couldn't.
And here's the thing about Brett. He'll tell you exactly how he feels.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a passive aggressive bone in Bret Hart.
What I'd actually like to see is Bret Hart mediate CM Punk and the Elite.
That would be interesting.
That would be interesting at the very least. Yeah. Hey. Why don't you go touch grass? How about that? Why don't you get off your couch and stop being on social media so much? How about that? You need to. It's like a greater good. You think I liked Hogan coming in at WrestleMania 9? You think I like that? No, I don't like that. But I did it. It's for the greater good. The wrestling company's not just one guy. I'll put you in a sharpshooter right now. What does that have to do with anything? I like Kenny. He's the Canadian guy. I like him. Anyways,
Blake here says, how many gallons would you say you guys have been able to milk with CM Punk in the thumbnail?
Oh man, you come into any random town, you see a giant like water tower.
Yeah,
one
of those. Yeah,
one of those.
Yeah,
so much milk.
Yeah, a lot of milk.
A lot of milk.
A lot.
The CM Punk teat continues to offer up sweet milk.
And we will continue to suckle off that teat.
And we will suckle off that teat, brother. White Ninja says, hey, Stephen Larson, big fan of you guys since your public servant days. What type of pizza would each of the wrestling shows be? Wow.
Oh, wow. So what is the Kleenex, the Xerox of pizza? Growing up, it was Pizza Hut.
Is there
it's not
one?
Now?
Yeah, no, it's not now. I don't know that there is one now. I feel like pizza has turned into like the old territory days.
It does feel that way, doesn't it?
Right. So, I mean, I guess maybe more in keeping with like the question, because he's saying cheese/meat lovers, type of pizza.
Okay, gotcha. Well, WWE is like a supreme pizza because it offers a little bit of everything.
Literally what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Literally what I was going to say.
Yeah.
AEW meat lovers, could say white meat lovers. Because it's one thing, man. You get one thing with it. Let's see here. I popped Maggie on that one.
Yeah.
Oh, brother. What other kind of pizza? Like barbecue chicken? Is there anything to that? What's NXT?
Oh,
NXT. It's young. It's horny.
Yeah.
It's it's what the future is.
Maybe throw some sort of like veggie pizza.
Okay. Yeah. Kids are huge on the veggie vegan stuff.
They're
these
more
days,
sensible about what they're eating. They don't need all that processed meat in there. No.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Or your old dad says a margarita pizza.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. There you go. Yeah. Who's Papa John's? Isn't that NWA?
Well, I mean, if they're a wrestling promotion that exists, but kind of you have to put the show on yourself.
Papa Murphy's then. Yeah.
Yeah, for Papa Murphy's. Yeah.
Yeah. I was
like
saying,
they give you all the ingredients. They actually put it together, but they actually make you do the process of cooking it.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah. I think that's all good. That's good. Let's see here. Dave Matushek says, WS Fletcher, channel member, says, thank you, Steve. 3-piece, no dark. Oh, wowie, wow. Let's see here. Dave Matushek says, with AEW and WBD having a new deal together, is it possible to have animated crossovers between the two companies similar to WWE and Scooby-Doo's adventures?
Oh, heck yeah.
Sure, I'd love to see that.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Absolutely. I think it'd be phenomenal. Oh, ouch. Mopey Corbin says, is Impact Little Caesars? I wouldn't put that on Impact.
Well, the thing about Little Caesars is that it's easy to find.
Hey, that's a good one. That's a good one. Yeah,
There's
right.
Little Caesars all over the place.
Yeah, Impact is Pizza Hut because you can find that shit. No, you're right.
You need
You're right.
like I don't know what's the is Impact Papa John's?
I see a lot of those. I think Impact is more like I don't know, Chicago deep dish. Like you can't really find it a lot of places, you know?
Yeah.
Unless you go to where do they shoot out of, like Tennessee or something like that? Then it's everywhere.
Well, they shoot all over the place now.
Oh, do they? For a while, I thought they were in the same place a lot.
They were shooting in Canada for a stretch because that's where Anthem's based.
Yeah. Maggie says, "Who asked this?" This was White Ninja, and they have a YouTube membership because this is only for members.
Great question.
Oh, that was a great question.
Oh, Straw Hat. Metal Nerves has it. Straw Hat Pizza. There's like 5 left in the United States. Godfather's Pizza.
Godfather's and Straw Hat.
Or was it Shakey's? Is that the other pizza place?
Shakey's, yeah. Man, I gotta hit up Rico's one day. There's one left in town.
There you go.
It's in Natomas. Let's see here.
Nikyle says, "What is the wildest location you would like to see a Falls Count Anywhere match take place?" At Bullet Club Gold.
At Bullet Club Gold, yeah, exactly. Where you get the cheeks, and you get you got the cheeks, and you got the graps, but they can't cross over. June Night Cheesecake says, if you could add one wrestler from you got the cheeks. If you could add one wrestler from the past to wrestle for AEW, who would it be and why? Oh, it'd be Bret Hart. Get him in the locker room with CM Punk, eh?
Macho Man in the locker room with CM Punk.
Yeah. Oh, listen up. We got a little problem here. We got to solve a problem before we take our problems to the ring. Can you dig it?
Chris Stanton, if AEW launched the streaming service today and all of the pay-per-views were available to watch, what is the first match you're loading up? Oh, Cody and Dustin.
Oh, that was a phenomenal match.
That was a good one.
God, Cody's so good.
Well, he's had his moments.
Oh, dude, yeah. Back to back to back, banger after banger. Let's see here. Here we go. Bassy Boy says, you're tasked by Tony Khan to reach into your box of gimmicks to repackage each wrestler in both the Blackpool Combat Club and the Elite factions for the Anarchy and the Arena match. How do you go about it? To repackage each wrestler? That's a lot of wrestlers.
Oh, you have to repackage each wrestler in each faction, not repackage a wrestler to add to it.
No. You got to repackage each wrestler.
Why would I repackage them?
They're all wonderfully packaged. Yeah. I'd just repackage them within the group. So it'd be like Mox would now be Bryan Danielson.
Good. There you go.
And then Wheeler Yuta would be Mox. And then Claudio.
Danielson would be Wheeler Yuta.
Mm-hmm, yeah, right. And then Claudio's just Claudio then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah. Mason says, who do you think is most likely to be TNT champion first? Keith Lee, Adam Cole, Swerve Strickland, or Ricky Starks?
Right now, Swerve.
I agree with that. I think Adam Cole's going to skip ahead to the world title. Ricky Starks about to be buried by Bullet Club Gold. And Swerve's about to beat Keith Lee. You got it.
Alex Washington, of the matches announced so far for Double or Nothing, what match results make for the best stories going forward, in your opinion? I mean, you'd assume the Elite's going to win Anarchy at the Arena, but what's Don Callis' role going to be in all that? Is he going to bring in someone like Will Ospreay to cost the Elite that match?
Ooh, yeah, Forbidden Door.
In my mind, that's the match that has the most intrigue to it.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, because I think a lot can come out of that match.
Yeah.
Let's see. Oh, here we go. Roy Costin says, with AEW going to Regina later this year, where are some other fun city names you hope they visit? Hell, Michigan.
Yeah, that's good.
Live from hell.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, or taped from hell.
What's that? Something in Tennessee? Something Creek?
Murder Creek.
Is that what it was?
Oh, it was Suck Creek.
Suck Creek. That's what I was thinking.
I think it was Suck Creek. Yeah,
that's what I'm thinking of. Yes.
Yeah, that's perfect. And there's also like a murder. No, maybe we made that one up. I forget. I'll have to go back and watch that one. That was so good.
Mayor Planet Houston says, how long till CM Punk decides he doesn't like working on the weekends anymore and requests switching places with the Elite on Wednesday?
Do you think that's the genesis of this whole thing? It's not really about Ace Steel. He's like, how can I get this Wednesday?
Why'd I get my weekends? Damn it.
Yeah. Having a good time on my Saturdays. I only get one tape show every 6 weeks. That's terrible.
I know. Jack Napier asks, is Hangman Page still a cowboy or has he graduated to pirate?
Yeah. I thought he was like a special ops spy guy. He's going to use nothing but stealth in Anarchy in the Arena.
There you go.
He's going to get in like a cardboard box and walk around in it.
Yeah, there you go. That's good.
Didn't Solid Snake do that one time?
Yeah, he did.
That's great.
He would hide all sorts of things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Hide in the garbage can. Why is it? Hey, Danielson, why is that garbage can walking over here?
Every time I tried to play the game, I was so terrible because I didn't have the patience to do anything stealth-like.
Oh, I could never do a stealth game.
I just run at somebody and start trying to beat him up or whatever, and then
no.
I would that would be.
I was not a stealth
the
expert.
end of it. Yeah. No patience for that.
Jonathan Vieira says, "What artist from the '90s would you want to do Collision's theme?"
Oh, good question. So it's got to predate nu metal because the debut of Nitro predated that.
Yeah, so like what artist from like 90 to 93? Because Nitro was 95. It was 95, yeah.
So this is kind of
95.
post-grunge, but pre-nu metal.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Bush.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Got a machine. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Better than the rest. I like some of their stuff. It was overplayed.
Yeah.
Glycerin.
Yeah, that song's overplayed.
I'm going to say Jerry Cantrell as a solo artist.
Oh, good. Good.
For some reason, on the 90s, I had never listened to any of his solo stuff. But on the 90s music video channel, they've got a video for Cut Me In, the old Jerry Cantrell track. And I just listened to it over and over. I got it on a playlist, and it's like a 3-song playlist.
You know, he wrote majority of Alice in Chains songs. So.
Yeah, and his solo stuff is basically just Alice in Chains without Lane Staley. That's all it is. It's really good stuff, but it lacks that Lane Staley thing, you know?
Yeah.
Let's see here. Jesus or Jesus Medina says, so does AEW have a $1 billion deal or no?
Don't know.
I think we're going to find out at some point.
Yeah, I imagine we will. Either we'll find out because there's no news of it or they'll announce it.
Yeah.
Time More here says, should CM Punk touch grass?
I feel like it might be good advice. I really do. You know, he's sitting on the couch writing these lengthy IG text posts on his stories.
Take Larry for a walk.
Take Larry for a walk. Go to the park. Go to the dog park. You can go to the little dog area.
Go work out. He's huge.
Oh, he's working out already. He posted a story from the gym, but I think he needs to get outside. Maybe, I've seen some of the CrossFit places. They got like outside areas.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. He needs some fresh air.
Yeah.
The gym, it's real musty air. You need to get outside, get some fresh air. Too much of the phone is not good for you. Too much of the social media is not good for you.
Truth.
Yeah. Oh, this is a great question. Eastside Reviews is killing it with their questions these days. Eastside says, do you think there's any chance this whole thing with Punk is some stupid-ass long work by AEW to drum up interest? They're working us, Larson.
No, they're not working us.
Big old work.
No, there's no work here.
And then, right before we make the announcement, we'll remove him from the promotional materials. Drum up interest. Do it. Great idea.
It's a terrible idea. You're risking the harm in your relationship with your broadcast partner by asking to change all that stuff last night.
They're in on it, too.
No work. Shoot.
Work Brothers Discovery. Scrappinator 89 here with the super chat. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody. By the way, y'all need to go check out. I saw this clip on Twitter. Swerve Strickland's podcast. Adam Cole talking about crying over video games. It's pure content. It's just wonderful content. Chugs is great.
Chugs is great. Yeah.
Chugs is awesome. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Appreciate it. Till next time, we'll talk to you later.
Goodbye.